All right, guys, get ready because we are literally spilling the tea again. But before we dive in, I think I have to get started with saying everyone's favorite phrase, thank you, Super Deka, but today's video is for entertainment purposes only. Everything I'm about to say and tell you, it's not rooted in fact, it's alleged. Everything's alleged. Hey guys, my name's Caleb. If you're new to my channel, I post luxury and lifestyle related content Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. If that's something you're into, which I mean, you're here, I'm assuming it is, go ahead and hit the subscribe button down below. Consider joining the channel, becoming a member, and getting all those fun access and extra perks. And let's dive into today's topic. All right, guys, but seriously, Cosette is back at it again. They're back in the news, allegedly. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar, or if you're new to the luxury space, Cosette is an Australian company. They actually have a storefront in the Rocks. What they do is they specialize in selling, the hottest trends, especially YSL, which is what we're going to be talking about today, at a discounted rate. Now, granted, they say everything is authentic, good to go. It's very far down in their About Us and their ethos. We're going to be circling back to that here in just a minute. Now, if you all remember, we had the scandal before about 3-4 years ago. Even Mel in Melbourne kind of got, I don't want to say her hands dirty because, she had had a brand deal with them as an influencer, but it was kind of like a guilt by association almost. She had to come out the whole 46-minute video about, answering everyone's questions, her standpoint, her association with the company, and it was a whole mess. Here we are again, unfortunately. Now, this story rolled out, I think, over the weekend, and we've had a few interesting weekends of news. Fashion news, by the way. But Cosette is back in the news because once again, they have been alleged of selling a fake designer handbag, a YSL, no less. All right, so all of the facts and figures that I'm going to be throwing out there today are in Australian dollars, not USD. So some of these are going to be a little extreme because even I myself was scrolling through the website and I'm like, okay, the deals aren't that great, quite honestly, at least from a USD standpoint. However, for mother of three, Louise Cameron of Adelaide, Australia, had been saving up for her dream bag. Like, we've all been there. Listen, I mean, if you're anybody in the bag space, like, there is that holy grail bag which you're aspiring to have. You're saving up your money. All good things in life, you can't take shortcuts, and that's where the red flag for me would have gone off in this situation had I been in Louise's shoes. So the bag that Louise had been saving up for was the Saint Laurent envelope chain bag, and I think it's in the matelassé, like the one that they have here photographed is the one with like the quilting, the chevron, and for me personally, I think it's a lot going on one bag. Like, I hate it in photos, I love it in person, it's a whole thing. If you want like my opinions on current YSL products, let me know in the comments. I'm willing to jump in and do that list for you. However, in Australian dollars, this bag retails for $4,000. Well, Australian dollars, not US dollars. First of all, that to me is an insane amount of money for a YSL bag. She was able to find it on Cosette for $2,400. That big of a savings, huge red flag. Like, you're not gonna sell me a brand new, authentic, because remember, we're dealing in authentic goods allegedly here, and take a nearly $2,000 loss on it. Like, that is just not going to happen. I mean, we can all wish for it, we can all dream for it, and for some people, they do get lucky. They get that amazing deal, and they save a good chunk. Big red flag for me personally, and especially for those of you that are familiar, most of the Kering brands also have outlet stores. So like, my local outlet here at Rosemont, I think of the Kering brands, we have a huge Gucci, we have the YSL right next door. Prices are never that great. Like, they're good, do not get me wrong. I've got an amazing deal on jewelry, especially over at Gucci, but I've never walked into YSL and say, that's tempting. Like, I'll just, save a little bit more and go to full retail, right? She thought that she got the deal of the century, but the deal of the century soon became the nightmare. Poor Louise gets her Saint Laurent bag, and she's excited, she's over the moon, like any of us would be. There was something a little off. Something was telling Louise, like, hey, you might want to recheck this. So Louise then sends her bag off to a second-party authenticators, sites like Entropy, Legit Grails, Baba Baby does Hermès. So she sent it off to Legit Grails, and they're like, oh, hey, bestie, like, sorry, something's off. We don't think it's real. And then I think she had one more other person look at it in person, and they're like, no, this isn't adding up. Now, lucky for Louise, Cosette does have a pretty decent return policy as of filming this video. Before I filmed, I read the About Us, I read about the return policies, I tried to do all my research on Cosette. However, Cosette has the return policy. You receive the item, if it's unused, comes damaged, as long as it still has the tags on, you have 7 days of it being shipped out to return the item. Now, Louise, thankfully for her, she was able to utilize that return policy and get the money back. However, Cosette is saying like, oh, we're not saying that we refunded because the bag is fake. We refunded because we were within, you know, our goodwill policy or the 7 days, right? She did have the option to send it into Cosette for like, you know, further authentication, but I mean, they allegedly botched it the first time, so why would she trust it again? I mean, take that how you will. Now, one thing that Cosette was caught doing in the past, they were sending items to Entropy, but they were doing it in batches. So like my YSL Sade clutch here, say they got like 12 in from their European suppliers, they sent a photo in of one, well, it came back authentic, so this whole batch is authentic, right? So allegedly, that's what they were doing. And some things weren't adding up. Like you would see the photos on the Entropy certificate and it wouldn't match up to the code inside the bag, or maybe the QR code wasn't working, which was the case allegedly with like another Prada or a Gucci bag. Ooh, that does not make me feel good. And the problem too with these certificates, I could send in photos of my very authentic Sade, get an Entropy certificate, allegedly, and then I could go out and buy a super fake and sell you the super fake. So why couldn't a big company do that, right? Allegedly. I'm just theorizing here. This isn't rooted in fact, obviously. I'm just theorizing. We're just, between us two, we're just having a conversation. Now, another thing about Cosette that I didn't really care for, I was trying to do some online research, and this is where it gets interesting. So mind you, there's a myriad of bad reviews, either on TikTok, online, through different like forums. I think like their equivalent of like our Better Business Bureau over in Australia. The thing is, I tried to search on the purse forum. Well, my husband did. He was Googling the, you know, Cosette on the purse forum, trying to get some information. Couldn't find a thing. Like nothing was coming up. And I had watched Kate Swan's video earlier today. I'll link hers down below and I'll also link Jesse's down below because they both did really good videos on this topic. And Kate Swan was like, you know, she had found stuff on the purse forum, if I'm not mistaken. However, when my husband went to look, wiped, like nothing, like Cosette, nothing. And at first I thought, well, maybe I misspelled it because whenever I think of Cosette, even though it, you know, Les Mis, duh, I always try and put an extra S in it, like cassette, but it's obviously one S. I'm like, oh, you know, it's one S. Nothing. So what I like to do sometimes, if I can't find something, because the purse forum has been around for ever. Like I was a wee little galing on there back in like 2006, 2007, talking about handbags. So like the amount of information on that website is so out of control, like their search engine. Love you, purse forum, but it doesn't do the best job finding like threads that you know existed at one point. So what I do is I search, you know, the topic and then I just put purse forum in Google after it. And it brought up all the conversations. However, every time Cosette had been mentioned, they had taken out the company name and just put stars in. So allegedly, Cosette is very good about silencing any negative reviews, any videos out there that go against them, and especially on the purse forum. They obviously got the purse forum to redact their name from several threads. Other companies that are in this wheelhouse, if you will, of especially pre-owned luxury, like the Real Real. Like we've all heard a thing or two about the Real Real. Now I did a video on the Real Real about 2 years ago, but I'll link that down below. And well, apparently I didn't learn my lesson because I went back for an Hermès Kelly and an LV Suhali. So take that with a grain of salt. I got very lucky. However, you know, it comes up occasionally, you know, especially about the Real Real. Once in a while, Fashion File or Rebag will be implicated in like, oh, they sold me a fake, but they're not out there redacting their name, which I thought was a super strange business model, especially when you've already been through this before. Like you had the whole scandal and fiasco that Mel and Melbourne got involved with 3-4 years ago. Why are you still running around having your name redacted from different websites? I thought that was a little fishy. For me personally, that doesn't really, you know, imbibe any type of trust, faith, or brand loyalty. If you can't even like really, you know, like truly like stand up to these claims and say, oh, hey, bestie, you know, we might have made a mistake, but we made it right. So another thing that I really appreciated in Kate Swan's video, like I said, she made a lot of really good points about the subject, but when it comes to Cosette, they have this big history of partnering with influencers, you know, brand collabs, brand deals, sending them beautiful bags. First of all, like how are they writing off all of these Bottega Veneta, Balenciaga, YSL, Jacquemus bags that they're sending out to creators? I mean, hello, P.O. Box down below, please and thank you, as long as it's authentic. But what if they sent me this bag, the Sade, which is real, I unbox it, I'm excited on my channel, and you're like, oh, well, you know, I trust Caleb, let me buy the Sade from Cosette and save, you know, $1,300, $1,400, and they sent you a fake, allegedly. I thought that was a really good theory from Kate Swan, and I think there could be some validity to that because we live in an age where social media relies a lot on like the content creator, the influencer, if you will. I cringe at the term, but for better lack of another term. A lot of the marketing now, because it's so much less expensive than the whole like big fancy ad campaigns of the 90s and the 2000s, you already have someone with a following. Let's send them the product, they can get it in front of their following, and bing bang boom, all we're out as a bag. However, to that end, if the theory proves true, it can also be kind of dangerous and a little bit reckless if you think about it. So I guess what I'm trying to say, to wrap this up in a tight little bow, is you cannot be careful enough. Super fakes are on the rise, you guys. Like, they are out there, they're tricking everybody. They even can get by, or at least they can't authenticate with absolute certainty. I think Entropy said about 5.7%. The only way that you can be absolutely certain that you're buying something that is authentic is to purchase it from the retailer, like the actual store, like walk into YSL and buy the Sade. Now, granted, you can still have the whole return fraud where, again, I bought the Sade at YSL, returned the fake one, kept the real one, and I basically got it for free. That is still, we hear about that, but not nearly as often as these little quirky side businesses and resale shops, right? Now, if you want, I am a huge pre-loved, pre-owned buyer. So if you want like a whole separate video on like my tips and tricks, like how I do my research, who I send my bags to for authentication, let me know down in the comments. I'm more than happy to dive into it. But at the end of the day, you can never be safe enough. It's your money. You don't want to be caught walking around with a fake, especially if you spend thousands for it. And not to mention, the social implications of carrying a fake bag, like where they came from, what they're funding. Whole thing, we've talked a little bit about fakes before on my channel, so go and check that if you want more information. But at the end of the day, you've already spent a good chunk on the bag. You might as well pay 40, 50 bucks, send it to Legit Grailed, send it to Entropy, have peace of mind. Or if you don't have that kind of money to spend after you've made the big purchase, which trust me, as handbag lovers, we've all been there, no shame, safe space, then post it on your Facebook group. Like, I am in so many REITsy Facebook groups for different brands. I'm a lurker, you're not gonna see me posting much, but I'm in there. Or you can put it on the purse forum. A lot of the subcategories have like, authenticate this, and you're gonna have people who have been doing it on the purse forum for well over a decade, authenticate the bag. There are so many resources and ways that you can study to make sure that you as a consumer are making an enlightened decision, being smart with your money, and at the end of the day, having a beautiful bag you can be proud of. I hope this was a fun little dive into Cosette. Again, I've linked all the other videos down below. And until next time, guys, stay safe, have fun. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.